Today on Mental Health Matters with Marty, as we continue in this COVID schooling, are we really ready for in person schooling? Stay tuned. What's going on, everybody? Hey, my name is Martina Sellers, and I am your mental health hygienist. What's going on, y'all? I am back in Cali. Woo! So glad to be back. Listen, y'all, I was on the Midwest in Ohio, and when the tornado warnings went off, I'm like, it's time to get my you-know-what back in California, where I'm used to the fires and the triple-digit weather, not used to earthquake. What do we have? Tornadoes and tornado warnings and thunderstorms and lightning. I ain't seen that in so long, but it's good to be back home. Just landed, not even 45 minutes, and came here straight from the airport. But we are so glad that you are joining us. Listen, like and share. Share this. We got some great people, some men in here who are educators, who are giving us some valuable information as it pertains to COVID schooling. But let me make this very clear. This show is intended for educational purposes and educational purposes only. We are not a substitute for medical advice or the CDC. If you are having a medical or a psychiatric emergency, please go to your nearest emergency room or dial 911. But with that being said, we are so excited because our whole passion is to educate you about everything that is going on, because so many people are suffering in silence. We are navigating our way through this, y'all, because of this. The holiday just hit us, Labor Day. We're seeing peaks again. I believe we're seeing some peaks in DC as we're seeing it. We got to get this pandemic under control. And this is my belief. Our children are not our lab rats in order to send them back into the fire of this pandemic if we are not ready. So that's just my thoughts. That's all they are. In leaving Ohio, that was a thought. So, y'all, we are so excited about everything. Listen, like and share this. This is important stuff. This is great stuff. We want to have the dialogue. You can go ahead and send us questions or in the discussion panel with that. But do not sit on this. Call everybody you know. Let them know we are on here every Tuesday to bring you the latest information. And we're going to be here until this pandemic is under control. But I want to bring in my co-host, who is our residential school expert here as it pertains to schooling and COVID-19 schooling, none other, all the way from the DMV, Thomas Davis himself.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, you sound like Fat Albert.
Hey. Watch it.
Hey, it's Fat. Oh, you don't know nothing about that. That's when cartoons were good. Yes, I was born there.
Oh, okay.
Watch your mouth. Don't make me come across the screen and cut you. What's going on, Thomas? How you feeling, man?
It's a blessed Tuesday. It's a great day just to be alive, and I'm just excited to be on tonight. Again, yes. Our condolences to you with the loss of your loved one. We know that you were on the East Coast, so we hope that the East Coast treated you well.
They treated me as well as can be in this pandemic.
Awesome.
So, I was practicing social distancing.
Did you wear a mask?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just want to make sure. Speak out and live.
That's right. Got to get some branding out there.
Hey, look, cover your mouth and live.
That can lead you to many different places. This is a PG-13 family-oriented show. This is that's for the midnight musical. But anyway, man, how you feeling out there? How they treating you out in the DMV?
Man, everything is good. We are officially in our second week of virtual learning. Yes. And I just like to shout out all educators, all parents, all teachers. Shout out our students. Shout out everyone who is in this together. We cannot do this alone. And I'm very pleased to say that from what I've been seeing on social media and speaking with different teammates and colleagues, although that we are tired, we are still in it. So that's the most important thing. So shout out to everybody.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. We are still in this. Education is still going forward.
Right.
I want to just thank the parents who are really, especially. Let me give a shout out to single parents who are doing the thing. I had a single parent I was on a conference call with this past Wednesday. That's my mama out there watching. Hey, mama.
Hey, mama.
And she has 4. That's my mama there. She has 4 children that she is trying to get through schooling at 4 different ages all over the spectrum. And you single parents, we applaud you.
Yes.
Keep doing what you're doing, and maybe we'll talk about that later on in the show too.
Right.
We have these great educators. What suggestions do they have for single parents? We're not leaving out dads, because I was just on a flight with one of my boys who is a single dad of 3, and he's doing it. Too often we as dads don't get the credit for the amazing work that we are doing. And we as dads, we love our children just like moms do as well in that.
But Marty, may I also say this? Shout out, Mom. Hey, Mom. Thank you for watching. That's my mom there.
Our mamas is watching. Mamas, y'all tell other folk to watch besides the 2 of y'all.
But no, I also just wanted to shout out to the educators, Marty, who is also teaching during the day while their daughter and son are sitting right there beside them. I spoke with my best friend this afternoon, and I just asked him, so how was your day? How was your day of teaching? And how was your day of teaching your child? And so shout out to teachers who are doing double duty, because teachers are also teaching their kids and they're teaching our kids at school. So thank you so much.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. How is your friend? How are they managing all that and everything? Thank you, Miss Penny. She said she's going to share. So thank you. How are they handling everything that they're going through and managing? Because it's a lot these days. You know, from all that you're teaching, you're parenting, you're teaching your own kids. You're trying to do lesson planning. You're doing meal planning. Your lunch and your classroom and even recess duty.
Right. I think the best thing that he shared with me was that it's important to have some routines, some schedules, and most of all, a phone that can keep you on top of what you have to do. Tasks and just setting up time management skills. So we're going to be talking about some time management skills, in our show. We've already talked about COVID. We already know what it is. We know everybody was out this weekend having a great time. So now we got to talk about how are we going to move forward and still be able to be safe.
So speaking of that, how was your Labor Day weekend? What did you get into with that and still maintaining what you have to do as a professional in this as well?
So on Friday, I did a simple post. I am going to take care of myself by and fill in the blank. Honestly, Marty, I didn't do anything but just rest. I did go into the studio to do some promotional videos and stuff like that. But other than that, I stayed home. I slept. I relaxed. I worked out. Shout out to my trainer that's on here watching me. I did do some working out, but I just stayed home. And I just watched social media and said, I'm praying for everyone who had a good time. And I'm praying for everyone who may have forgotten to be socially distant, if that makes sense.
That makes a whole lot of sense and everything like that. Kenneth, how are you, my brother? Good to see you this evening. Yes. Y'all get the word out there. We got some amazing guests on here today that we want to talk about and bring on. So without any further ado, because we can banter all night long. So that ain't the problem. That ain't the problem. So bring on. I see you're doing your branding too. Limitless possibilities.
Here we go.
Yes.
Mental health with Marty.
Yeah, and here we go. Come on, don't play with me.
Let's do this.
Let's talk about bring on our first guest that you're bringing on with us tonight.
Well, Marty, I just want to say that this week I'm excited to introduce both of our guests this evening for 2 reasons. They are not just educators. They have, hey, Tony. She missed her daddy. Hi.
I know. I got to be a daddy right now. Hi, baby. Okay, I know. Say hi. Look, hi, everyone. This is my baby girl. Yes. You want to say hi? Say hi. Oh, you're waving. Okay. Go ahead, Thomas.
All right. So I just want to say that this evening, guests, we have a lot of great people here with us tonight. We have individuals who are not just educators. They have a little bit of a gift with them. We have people from the counseling background and teaching. And then we have another guest who is a counselor, an educator, a dresser who will keep you looking good, smelling good. And most of all, he is a man of God. So, we have a lot of flavor going on this evening. So the first guest that I do want to introduce to you is a great young man who has been in education for over 20 years. He graduated from the University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, from the Maryland University of Maryland, Eastern Shore.
I got you.
He also obtained his master's in guidance and counseling education. And then he's also a part of a lot of associations that I would allow him to explain more so we can save on time, so we can bring them all on. But most of all, Marty, this particular guest is a brother's brother. And I think that's what we need more of in 2020. A brother's brother, a woman's woman, someone that they can come to and talk to. And when I hang up this phone, I don't have to worry about what I said to you to be traveled down the rumors mills and all that stuff. He's a great mentor of mine. And most of all, he is a fraternity brother. So I would like to introduce to you Mr. Dwayne Edwards.
Come on, Mr. Dwayne Edwards, a brother's brother. Am I my brother's keeper?
Yes, he is.
How you feeling, man?
I feel wonderful. Good evening.
Good evening. Welcome to the show. Tell us some about your background and why you have a passion for what you do.
I believe we're all put here on this earth to help somebody.
Yes.
That's the greatest blessing. If we were all helped to get where we are today. So why not give that back?
Yes.
We know about the good process of sowing and reaping. Let's go and sow some good seeds. Let's go and develop some good people. Let's help the children. And we're going to have a good harvest of some productive citizens. So many people helped me. So many people sowed into me, if they know it or not. The one thing I know by working with children and remembering from my own childhood is that although you might not have done anything directly to me, I saw in you that I wanted to be. And that's something I wanted to do in a career. And that's why I chose the path of education. Wow. I wanted to help people. I wanted to give back. I wanted to make sure that the students had somebody who they could rely on.
Yeah.
Actually push them and also make them feel, hey, I can do this. I'm not scared of anything. The worst thing somebody can ever tell me is no, but I can get over that. So that's the background I come with. And I just wanted to make sure that I leave an impact so somebody else can do it for somebody else.
Dwayne, well, that's powerful in that you're leading the way for other young men, especially when we are dealing with blended families. And I'm not even going to say fathers not in the home any longer, but maybe they don't have access to their children as much as they would like to. And you're serving as a role model. And I love it. Each one teach one and pull up one.
That's
you can't just teach. We got to pull them up as well.
That's right.
I love that sow the seed part, Marty.
Yeah.
We gotta sow into our youth. Because guess what? We're not gonna always be sitting here on these platforms.
That's right.
So thank you, brother. It was for sure for just sharing that. Thank you.
Yes. Introduce your next guest to us as well.
All right. Okay. So this young man that I'm about to introduce, I had to take out his piece of paper, Marty, because I'm gonna tell you what his introductory sentence was. It says, in the world of arts, few possess the distinct ability to project creative power. And I think that word creative power says a whole lot as we are navigating through COVID, navigating through how we're going to teach our students to keep them on Zoom from 9 to 5. We got to have creative power. We got to have energy. We have to step outside of our norms. So this young man is the name of Mr. Rashawn A. Jenkins. He has worked in very different facets, as I stated before, in the fashion industry, in Ebony magazine. He has obtained his degree from the University of Florida. and he's also worked in education for over 14 years. He is a love of people. He is a love of his students, and he has a passion and a drive to help anybody, whether you're black, white, boy, girl, whatever it is. This young man has never turned his back against anyone. So without further ado, I would like to introduce to you Mr. Rashawn A. Jenkins. Welcome tonight.
Hello, gentlemen. Good to be here with you.
Listen, welcome to the show. You know, I all y'all dossiers, I'm just like, oh wow, you know, come on, somebody.
You know, Davis just read the dossier that I send out with people who got real good checks. So when they well, you have to write something real, you know, so that everybody will believe what you're talking about. So
I understand now, David, he does realize he ain't getting a check today for this.
Right.
Well, he should have sent the other resume.
But I'll send him an honorarium.
I'll remember that for next time.
Okay. Awesome. Man, tell us more about yourself and why you have a passion for what you do.
You know, I tell everybody I've taught every grade from 3-year-olds all the way down. I mean, all the way up to college seniors.
Right.
And so, coming from that background in the K-12 way arena, I've always worked in urban education, teaching in Baltimore, teaching in inner city Gainesville, Florida, now teaching in DC, and left my tenure track position at Hampton University to come back to K-12 because I mean I missed the drive of K-12. So it's just a challenging. This is not for the faint of heart, and especially in unprecedented times. It feels like ever since Donald Trump has been elected, we've used the word unprecedented. It seems like every 3 minutes.
Right.
Truly unprecedented times.
So
it is more challenging than ever being in the classroom and being a black man in the classroom.
Thank you. Thomas, I got a question for them because you jumped right in and what a great segue into this. How is it being a black male, giving all the stereotypes that we fight against, all the glass ceilings that we bump our head against, and all the micro and not just even the microaggressions, but I'm gonna say the macro ones as too that come to attack us. Right. And how do we continue to want to not only be in the field of education, but also succeed in that? Dwayne, I'm going to throw that out to you first.
You have to realize that you're coming into one as a male going into education. You're going into a pretty much female-dominated profession.
Yes.
And when you're there, you're really going to be kind of isolated because you're trying to figure out how you're going to go and how you maneuver, how you conduct yourself.
Yes.
At the end of the day, you also have to kind of put yourself aside.
Right.
And understand that you're doing something greater by just being an example, because young men in the building not only need to see their female teachers, but they also need to see the male teachers as well.
Yes.
And so they can emulate and they can actually understand. They can have that father figure, that male influence in their life. So there's a lot of, you have to tiptoe. You have to make sure that you check yourself. And honestly, I have to check myself sometimes, especially being a school administrator. I have to understand that some of the things that we don't think we have to do can offend people.
Right.
When I speak to certain people, because I'm of a certain height and size, it appear to be intimidating. So
that's good.
That I had to have a conversation with you. I have to sit down, and we have to sit down and talk. I can't talk to you all right there.
Right.
I can't do things. I'm not going to raise my voice. Also, I always be respectful. But you're always thinking. And I had to tell a colleague, because this summer, our county, we did a book study on book bias by Jennifer Ephart, Dr. Jennifer Ephart. We did a book study on the book bias. And we had to really think about a lot of the things that we deal with in the study. And one of the things that was brought to my attention is I do a lot of tiptoeing and dancing because I try not to be perceived as one, intimidating.
Right.
Two, I don't want to be perceived as the angry black man or the scary black man. I just want to be just Mr. Edwards, the administrator, the educator, the person who's there to help you. Even with the kids, I want you never to be scared of me. I want you to know that I'm always here to help you. And so I have to say that I'm constantly thinking of everything I'm doing to make sure that I'm not hurting anybody's feelings or I'm not being hurtful or harmful.
Right.
So I'm thinking as a male, especially a black male in education, you always have to be very mindful and use mindfulness in all your actions and everything you do because there's consequences to those actions. Good or bad.
Yeah, that's excellent. Brishon, talk to us about the same question there as a black man educator.
Let's before we do that, we have to go to statistics. We have to go to why is being a black male, being in the classroom, why does it matter anyway? So
yes,
before we start, before I give you my answer, I need to quote.
Go ahead.
The American Association of Teachers that says that black males only make up 2% of the workforce. And secondly, if a black male has a black male educator in grades 3, 4, and 5, they are 30% less likely to drop out of high school and 40% more likely to attend and graduate from higher education.
Now, so repeat that statistic one more again. For the folk in the back row.
If a black male has a black male educator in grades 3, 4, and 5, they are 30% more likely not to drop out of high school and 40% more likely to attend and graduate from higher education.
Wow.
So with that being said, now before I go and I answer your question more directly.
Yes, sir.
So the statistics say that we as black male educators are necessary not only for social reasons, we are important to black male economic power.
Yes.
So with that being said, to directly answer your question, black male educators are not wanted in the classroom. They're not wanted in these places and spaces to educate. And so, as my friend, my frat brother, my colleague had just noted as an administrator, how he has to talk, how he has to be careful of his proximity.
Yeah.
I'm 6 foot tall, so the first thing that once I started going into certain places and spaces, they say, "Well, hey, wouldn't you like to coach anything?" Well, hey, yo, I'm 6 foot tall, but I don't coach nothing, so I don't know what to tell you.
Right.
If you are in some of the more the better or the more certain school districts, their evaluation systems are almost impossible. So one of the things that as I'm in the process now of working in tooling to become an administrator, and the one thing that I find myself not only dealing with the bias of black males can only can only teach sports,
PE,
they can only coach or deal or be a discipline or a behavior tech.
Wow.
The bias that is implicit is black males don't know education, so you can't be an administrator. So once we start talking about those things,
you're killing me, Doc.
The thing that, and I always, and I'm in graduate school at the University of Pennsylvania as an urban scholar, as an urban fellow. And so one thing that, and I'm very thankful for Penn, I'm very thankful for their commitment to diversity. So their new thing is diversity, equity, and inclusion. And so when I met with the program director and the associate this past weekend, I said, it is not enough just to talk about DEI. It is not enough just to talk about diversity. Do not expect for me to come to the table, if you do not expect from me, once I come to the table to say something, to speak, and when I say something, be taken seriously. And so when Black males show up in their authenticity, no, let me stop here, because every Black male who teaches is not effective. So many times we have to go to brothers and say, brother, I need you to pull all the way up.
Come on.
You go in your classroom, ain't nothing going on in there. And when you do that, you are negatively impacting a student, especially in crucial stages, in crucial grades. You are keeping them and minimizing their economic power. So you can't do that. So so for this conversation, I'm going to assume that every Black male who I'm talking about is an exemplary educator. So
yes.
That is the assumption I'm going to make right there. So if they don't want to come to work, if they don't want to do, if they're there, but they're there for a check, or, they're there because they and their wife will be able to get together and have a good benefit plan. I'm not talking about
right.
About brothers who are committed, who are sold out, who understand when they show up authentic in the space that they are school uncle, that they are school big brother, that they are there to
yes,
and to impact and to transfer. They don't want you there. They don't want you there. And not only do they not want you there, let me go on and quantify my statement. I went to Florida A&M as an undergrad. When I graduated from Florida A&M in 2002, Florida A&M was the #1 producer of African American teachers in the nation. In order for us to go into student teaching, we had to pass the Florida Teacher Certification Test.
Right.
There was no question about that.
Mm-hmm.
You could not intern until you passed the test. Okay? Fast forward 20 years almost. So there are some alternative teacher preparation and now the #1 workforce. There are a couple of them. I'm not going to call the name because I don't have an attorney to fight them right now. There is an educated force that is placed in urban settings. Once they get in that program, get that free master's degree from Johns Hopkins and some of the other Ivy League institutions, do their 2 years, do their 2-year service, go to law school, go to medical school, go do whatever they need to, go become a White House fellow, go do whatever they need to do. But those who remain in the classroom are immediately shot up to administrators. So you've got folk who are put into urban education, and in 5 years they're an administrator.
Right.
Me, who had been in the classroom, who've never been tapped, who've never been supported, who've never been given everything that they need in terms of career development. And so when you start grinding and not doing the alternative teacher certificate, and administrative support system, they don't want to support you because there are other folk whose communities are not impacted by that person sitting in the seat.
Brashawn, just stop. Just stop right there, okay? I just can't. You are.
Hold on. So back up. So now we're in COVID.
He like the preacher guy. I just got one more thing to say. One more thing.
Hold on. So now that we're in COVID, and you don't understand that many people of color. Now I'm a 3rd generation college grad, and there's nothing wrong with
Bless
that.
you.
Right.
And so please understand that. But I am not a 3rd generation college grad who does not understand the struggle and does not understand that I am full-time Black. So what we're doing now is we're teaching our non-Black educators, we're making them read White Fragility, which is nothing more than a direct copy of W.E.B. Du Bois. And I think it's so funny that W.E.B. Du Bois wrote all of these wonderful stellar texts, and now we got White Fragility. Michael Eric Dyson wrote the foreword to White Fragility, and they called his grandson the N-word at a neighboring school right around the corner from mine. So my problem during COVID has become Black and brown children. Parents cannot put them in a learning pod.
Right.
Hire a tutor to work with the other 10 kids who live in the neighborhood and pay a tutor to get them through while their parents go and are in the other room doing what they need to do. So what I find myself doing, friends, is going by my black and brown kids and say, do you have your school supplies? Do you have everything you need? Does your technology work? Because more than likely, there is no parent who can do it to help them to navigate the technology. Can we tell the truth and shame the devil? The teachers can't even navigate the technology.
Okay, we're gonna stop right there. We're gonna stop right there.
Wait,
we have another guest.
Listen, Brishad, you're killing me tonight, man. But you made this amazing point because he is speaking the truth. Because Thomas, I feel the same thing because you're saying that black males make up 2% of the educational. We as black male therapists make up 1%. One. So we feel your pain. We have to be smarter. We have to work twice as hard. In that, I'm not even going. Let me bring in Dr. Rice.
Look, we got to do a part 2. I
already feel this. Listen, I want to bring in a very good colleague and great friend of mine. We have done some things together with fatherhood development. He is also an educator now on the community college level, but has done the high school level. And his degree is in journalism, which he is doing the whole journalism program, all that there. Again, they didn't expect us to do that with none other than my homeboy, all y'all alphas, another alpha. Another alpha. Dr. Ed Rice. Come on in the room, Dr. Ed.
Dr. Rice.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We hear you.
Okay,
yeah.
okay. Hey, I was just making sure. Hey, what's up? 06. I see Goodwill is the monarch of this house.
Always.
As I was watching before I got in here. So I'm not for sure where to jump into the conversation because, again, I just got into the conversation.
You all right?
So Marty, just let me know. I was listening to my brother who just broke it down until it really can't be broken anymore. So I'm not for sure what you need me to ask.
Listen. We were talking about for you what drove you. That's kind of the overriding passion in education, and what does it mean as a black male in education? That's where that conversation came from.
All right.
Yes.
So let me jump in here real quick. I know. I've already heard some of the statistics that have been dropped, but the one thing that I do have to do is let you know that I actually have a show called The 2% about black male educators, which speaks to some of the issues that black male educators are dealing with. So y'all got to check that podcast out. But for me, part of the reason why I got into education, because again, like many other brothers and like most of the studies and the data shows, black men get into education because generally we want to make a difference, right? So most of us, because we want to change the conditions that we see. So we're intentional about where we teach and why we teach and who we teach. And so that experience has been the exact same for me. I grew up in Compton. My teaching experience, I started in Compton, right at Carver Elementary. Shout out to Carver Elementary. And that's where I got my feet wet and sort of, got in the trenches there and figured out what it really meant to be an educator. And ever since then, those have been the students that I've always wanted to connect with. Those have been the students that I wanted to teach because, again, knowing that they don't always see men like me in that particular role, I felt it was very important to have a presence and to be there and to be one of those educators that was doing more than getting a check. I also come from a family of educators. My mom was an educator, so this isn't anything new to me. It's funny because I talked on a podcast. I initially kind of ran from this calling, and I was doing the journalism. I was doing the journalism thing, and eventually my love for writing, my love for teaching, and working with children kind of merged together. And at the secondary level. Post-secondary level, I've been able to do both of that. So I feel like I've personally found my sweet spot. But one of the things I want to talk about as well, I also work in a teacher preparation program here at Cal State Teach. And Cal State Teach is one of the largest online preparation programs in the state of California. And specifically, I also work with an initiative within the Cal State Teach where we work with our male teacher candidates to help get them into the classroom. So we're not just about recruitment, we're also about retention. And some of the things that you talked about are some of the very issues that our men, when they actually get into the classroom, they don't stay, or when they're going through the teacher preparation program, they don't stay, because a lot of times they're met with a hostile environment. You have first year teachers who, brother with the Alpha shirt on, give me your name again. I want to make sure I say it right. Rashawn, as Rashawn was talking about, they're put in the disciplinary roles, right? And so they're given a lot of responsibilities that our other teachers aren't given without the necessary training, right? So you're talking about first year teachers that don't understand classroom management, right? But that are given the worst boys in the school and that are told to do that, right? You're talking about teachers who are going through and actually learning the teaching modules, but you leave them in the classroom to teach and plan for themselves, and they don't know how to lesson plan. They are learning about classroom management. They're reading about this stuff. So what we do is we support them through that. And then also we give them a space and a support group to actually talk about some of the challenges that are happening to them. Because what happened is a lot of our men, particularly a lot of our Black men, they're teaching in silos, right? And so they're struggling. And what they do is they take on a lot of that responsibility that isn't necessarily theirs. And again, they succumb to this pressure to be perfect, right? To be the disciplinarian, to know everything. And they don't want to say, I don't know. Like a lot of men, they don't want to say, I don't know. And so what we do is we provide them the space to say that that's okay. Here's what I'm struggling with. And here's how we can support you. And then what we do intentionally is we put other men of color, other Black men in front of them, where they can say, okay, this can be done. I can do this. Because the other thing that we also don't talk about, particularly here in California, I'm not for sure if it's the same way across the other states, but when they're preparing, when they're going through a teacher preparation program, look, a teacher preparation program, when you're going for that credential, it is not easy. Okay. And teachers really do need to be paid more, because what we don't talk about enough is the fact that when you're going through the teacher preparation program, 9 times out of 10, that's like almost a volunteer situation. So right now our candidates have to have so many hours in the classroom, which usually each semester, it goes somewhere between 180 to up to about 200, almost 300 hours in the classroom. And that's not paid.
And men's got to survive. You got families.
And men got to survive and have to eat. And so oftentimes men are really discouraged to go into teaching because of that. Not because they don't want to, but there's really this concern of, how am I going to take care of my family? Right. And the flip side is that once you get into teaching, you can make money if you know how to move and you know how to navigate that system. I see a lot of head nodding. I know a lot of teachers. If you go in a lot of these schools in our neighborhoods and you look at that teacher parking lot, you see Benzes, you see BMWs, you see the Jags, and the teachers like driving in and out. So they're not broke.
Oh yeah,
easily. They're not broke, but they
need to get a teaching credential.
Listen, you have to know how to move. And so unlike a lot of other professions, there's not a clear identifiable sort of scheme to move and to progress. And so that's one of the other things that we tried to do, is to lay out a pathway for you if you're teaching and you're interested in administration. If not, you can do curriculum specialist. If not, you can work in special ed. You can work in math. Like, there's a lot of different areas where
But we don't know these things a lot of times.
Right.
Yeah. We don't, and we don't talk about them. They say teaching and they think classroom, and that's it. And there's lot of people who have other areas of expertise where they can be used and they can be effective. Like here, like LAUSD, they have a whole data arm with people that aren't even in the classroom but deal in educational data. If you're a data person and you want to work in education, like, that's a place for you. So again, while our goal is to get more people in the classroom, it's really about helping people understand the way to use their gifts to be of the most use and most effective to the students that we're all trying to serve.
Good. Thank you so much, Dr. Rice. Let me just say this.
Okay.
It's like 8:43, and we only got through like one particular question.
The intro.
Okay.
The intro. And you said something when you was talking, and I was literally taking notes. Part of this program, listening audience, is that we want to make sure that we are educating you, but also educating ourselves. So I have a lot of notes that I'm taking. You stated something that started with, when they see me, they see a man like me. Am I a man that can be able to empower students? And then you started talking about some other different counseling aspects, and you was talking, but the word that came in my mind was empathy. And my question that I want to start with you, then to Brother Edwards, and then to Brother Jenkins, is empathy is very important. So let's be very clear about what the word empathy is. Okay. Empathy is different than the word sympathy. I am sympathetic that you lost someone. But I am empathetic of the fact that we are at home. We may not have strong Wi-Fi. We may not have the best role models at home that would not understand. Why do I have to wake up in the morning and go to a class at 8:15 in the morning? My question that I really want to just get into the meat of this: how can we teach ourselves first how to be empathetic to ourselves, and how can we teach ourselves and our colleagues and our students to be empathetic with one another during these times? And I do agree with what Brother Jenkins said. We use the word precedented just like it's just a word. But do we really understand what these times are? I mean, if you turn on the news, we are living in these times. We are living in some precedented times. So my question is, how do we know that we are living in it if we are not empathetic?
That's a good point. It's a really good point, Thomas. I think what we need to also understand, if we're in COVID, if we're in the digital learning scenario, the purpose and one of our true purposes of the schoolhouse, and one of the true purposes of the schoolhouse sometimes is that this gives the kids an opportunity to let down their guard. They don't have to be the adult. They don't have to be the other parent. They can actually come to school and be a kid. They can actually breathe. The thing we have to understand that a lot of times in their households, they have other responsibilities that they can't get away from.
Excellent.
We have to understand that, yes, we want their full attention in front of the cameras and in front of the computers, but we also have to understand that not everybody has that stable home life that that we assume that we would want. And we also can't just think about the kids. We got to think about the teachers too, because we don't know a lot of the things that these teachers deal with when they're at home. We don't know. Some might have some home situations that they're glad that they are out of the school for a long time. You got to think about it. You got some teachers that will be there when the custodian gets there at 6 o'clock in the morning, and will be there when the custodian closes the building at 9 o'clock. So we have to first think about that. People's home situations are different. And so home situations and those distractions at home, you're not going to get the 100% that you would want if they were in front of you inside of the building. And as much as we want perfection, we become a prisoner to that perfection, and we're not going to really do what we're supposed to do, help people.
Right. Brother Breeshawn, same question there with you.
I'm gonna quote my mentor, Dr. Omega Wilson, former principal, and what she does is her life's mission now is to coach future educational leaders. And the first thing that she told us in our cohort is, do not expect, once you go back to the classroom and you start teaching people through distance education, do not put your bias in and expect for children to turn their cameras on. Because and at first when Dr. Wilson said it, I was like, girl, what you talking about? Don't turn your cameras on. If they don't turn the cameras on, I can't see, I can't get engagement. And the one thing she said is sometimes students may have something going on in their space and in their environment because you're not teaching them in your environment that you and instructing them in an environment that they don't even control. So when you're asking students, there are moments where you have to set norms of the classroom that say, hey, it's okay if you don't turn your camera on, but there are going to be moments when I'm going to need for you to turn your camera on. And that may be to show something or to participate in a certain way but to use heavily the chat function in order to do that. So I pushed back with Dr. Wilson on that. And she said, everybody didn't grow up like you.
Right.
And so when she said that, at first I was very offended by that. I'm like, what you mean everybody didn't grow up like me? Then I thought about that thing. And then I went back to when I taught elementary school for 3 years. When it taught at Hampton University, the children of Black aristocrats. And when they didn't give me tenure, made a shift and went to go teach on the west side of Baltimore. You all seen The Wire? Y'all know The Wire? Sir. You know where the Freddie Gray riots? That neighborhood. So I went.
Okay. God bless your heart in your ministry.
And when I first got there, brothers, these children called me sweaters. They didn't call me Mr. Jenkins for the first one. They called me sweaters. Because, I mean, until I developed a relationship with them, right?
Right.
That I say was, it's not just, and I used to have this mindset. I used to think that only Black educators could teach Black children. But then I understand that there are some Black folk who have to check their heart when they're working in urban education.
Well,
checked because I went in with my biases. I went in there with, well, why am I giving you this? Why your mom and daddy can't buy that? And their parents couldn't do it. Right. So what in urban education, if you are really true to this thing, you have to develop a relationship with the kids and their families. So
good.
In Baltimore is they don't trust strangers at all.
Right.
In the city of Baltimore, they do not trust strangers. And I remember a parent said to me one time because we were going to take the kids to the aquarium, and it was on the other side of town. And I said, well, ma'am, you didn't send Mika permission slip. We got to go.
Right.
So Mika, that's when Mika permission slip, and she said, well, we don't go over east. And I was like,
right.
She with me, and she go and she. And
I don't know
said,
you.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm gonna let her go because she with you. But empathy said that there is something that I don't understand that gives me hesitation, but through my relationship with that child's family, they trust me. As we go forward and maneuver in this moment, start talking about why Black males are essential in this moment. I was there in with the Freddie Gray riots, and what nobody wants to talk about was the reason why so many young people rioted on that day was because the city of Baltimore stopped transit system. In Baltimore, there are no school buses. The only people who ride school buses are special ed students, right?
Oh, wow.
So when the young people were at the bus depot fighting, they were trapped. They couldn't go home, but that's empathy. So when we start talking about these narratives, you have to start asking the question, who's telling the story? Because who's telling the story will shape whether or not empathy is being served at the table.
Okay, Doc, okay, I want to bring you in for part two because we have a question on the table since we're talking about building relationships. This is my auntie out and Brashawn, I'm going to start with you and Ed, and then Dwayne, we're going to have you go to. She's putting up Caressa Key. She says this. Says, well, I'm having a hard time teaching at home my grandchildren, her grandchild, because we know that we now have big mama, grandmom, auntie, all of them who are now teaching their grandchildren, their nieces and nephews in that. And she says her grandchild knows everything. How can I get help or get through to her? I guess some of the things, and she feels like, since I feel like giving up. So many of our grandparents, aunts, because we're looking at extended families and blended families and these type of things. How do we give hope to that person, that grandma, that auntie, to continue to build this trust relationship, like you were saying, Brashawn, with educators in that, and getting the understanding and bridges that can be built when there might be limited resources or access to those things?
Right.
Who you asking? You asking me?
I'm asking you. You on the screen now.
Let me go on because I know everybody, they're going to say it a little bit more dignified. But I'm from North Carolina, so I say it how I say it.
We won't hold it against you.
And was trained as an educator before No Child Left Behind.
Right.
Went to higher ed and came back, and then No Child Left Behind was in full effect. When I came back, I taught high school for 5 years before DC Public hired me and gave me more money. And so I went and taught elementary school. So let me tell you, I taught third grade, this 5th grade ELA, English and Language Arts this summer. That was fine. That made sense. But let me tell you something. This here math that they're teaching now, it is
Common Core.
We do.
Right.
That we learn.
Right.
What people don't understand is cursive writing
is gone.
It's no longer.
In the early 2000s. But in certain neighborhoods, they teaching their kids cursive writing.
Yes.
Okay? So don't get it twisted. They teaching their kids typing, but not in. Okay. So I hear grandma.
Yeah.
Because I got a master's degree in working on it, and I can't figure the math out. And I can't go on and I got to pay Khan Academy $20.
Right.
Their tutorials, because the ones that are on YouTube are not the ones that you're paying for, church.
Right.
So
come on.
We need to understand that the curriculum is not as accessible.
Exactly.
So Black and brown children who are already behind are going to get further behind unless their parents know the curriculum, know how to teach the curriculum, and can go forward, or as our white counterparts are doing, are paying a tutor, or an educator that's on contract, but not telling their school that they're running a learning pod, because the Black ones they watching, and you can't go and make no money in teaching in no learning pod because they watching you and watching your camera, but it's almost impossible. So I feel, grandma. I'm sorry. I'm gonna be quiet.
You're all right.
No, you're good. You're good.
This is what we're talking about. This is the truth.
Right. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you. No.
Right.
In our urban centers, as they become more and more non-Black, and the teaching force becomes more and more non-Black, and our children continue to be taught with micro and macroaggressions. Farther and farther behind.
Right.
The level of education, and all COVID did was expose it and exacerbated it.
There we go.
Yeah.
Dwayne, go ahead.
I was just saying, the one thing I was appreciative of this year is that my county and my school district went back to teaching cursive writing, and I was applauding it. And just not only the fact of I understand what grandma has to go through with getting through to her child, but I also think about my parents who don't speak English.
Right.
I work in Hispanic populated areas, where the language gap is something that, wow, you have to really get through. But they want the best for their children. And I think that's the heart of it. The parents want the best for their children.
Right.
How could, with them wanting the best for their children, they're going to be kind of hard on us, even though we don't understand where they're coming from, because we don't have a lot of the things we assume or we think they should have.
Right.
So when they call us out for help and we don't know how to help them, it's not that we don't want to help them. It's honestly we assume that you are the one who can really make the impact. But it's to us as educators to really, really help them. In her case, this is where you form relationships with your teachers.
Yes, yes.
Those teacher relationships go a long way.
Yes.
I know plenty of parents that even when I come into the store and the kids see me, the kid will straighten up as soon as they see me coming in there.
Right.
Right. Relationships. And I've built relationships with students who still call me out of the blue and who let me know, invite me to their houses for any old function. But I remember when they used to be in my office all the time getting in trouble.
Right.
I built those relationships.
Right.
We need to start building those relationships again with our families. We need to stop making the educator the enemy and start working collaboratively and really do that pipeline. You see all these studies about pipeline for success. We really need to make sure that that pipeline with the parental connection as well as the connection of the educator is intact, because with the COVID and the whole COVID situation and the distance learning, you're understanding what we see every day, which is your child. Imagine your child times
30 or 40. 30. Yeah.
30. And so imagine your child, and your child does not speak English. And imagine how are you going to service that? And that's another thing as an African American man in a Hispanic population. I understand Spanish, but I don't speak Spanish. I went so far to say, if I'm going to service this community, let me go get certified in English as a second or other language. So I can help understand how to do it.
Good.
If I'm going to be an administrator here trying to make sure that these kids are successful. So I know that we care about our Black young men and women, but I care about my Black young men and young women and my brown young men and women. Because working in that environment, I see so many similarities that people don't see. We have some of the same struggles, but honestly, we need to forge those relationships with the parents. So if we're having a problem where the grandparents can't help the students, call Miss Johnson. I know some teachers that will go to the houses and sit in the apartment hallway and work with the kids in the apartment.
That's good.
With a mask on too.
With a mask on and bring snacks. So they make sure that everything is right. But we need to really formulate these relationships and take down the barrier that the teachers are the kids' enemies. No, we want to see them successful. You might not like how I say it or how I do it, but at the end of the day, I have the best interest for your child.
Wow. Wow. Dr. Rice.
Okay, so let me add this. I mean, there's been some great stuff here, but I want to get to Grandma's issue, particularly about reaching the students. But there's two things I want to make sure that we remember in this COVID era. What it has done, as we're talking about the relationships between the families and the educators, the one opportunity that we now have with COVID that I know we've been talking about in our teacher preparation program is that as educators, we're always talking about improving, the relationship with the families, right? Well, now every day, guess where you are? You're in their living room. Every day, you're in the home now. So one of the very first things you should have done as an educator going into somebody's home, if you haven't done it, I suggest you highly you do it, is that you make a connection or relationship with that parent, whoever it is in the house.
Well, that
take
guardian,
the first 10 minutes, take the last 10 minutes, whatever you do, introduce.
Okay, Doctor, come on, Dr. Rice. Your connection lost us. Okay, you still lost us. One more time. I can't hear you in there because you was talking real good. You was talking real good to us. Okay, we still can't hear you. You're not on with us, Dr. Rice. Dang it, we're gonna have you come back next week too, so we can finish all this up. There's this brilliant idea that was thrown out to me because. Can I just go here real quick about community partnerships in educating our children as well? Churches have this facility that is sitting dormant 5 days a week with nothing. I want to propose that churches do some learning cafes, even if you do Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Thursday, or something, where we get these grandmas, we get some of these other people who aren't working, and we have some learning cafes where we have times and study times. You can even charge a nominal fee, $20 a week, $15 a week, where we're now getting these high school students to teach younger students and some of these college students in there, and creating these learning cafes where we give them a snack in that, where we're now creating this atmosphere of learning and teaching. I had older cousins who always taught me. I believe that part of my learning ability was that they were 2 and 3 grades ahead of me. So they taught me what was coming up so that when it came to me, I was able to learn it and pick it up that much faster. What if we re-implemented a model such as that in teaching our children, especially in this pandemic? But I didn't even get to the part about schools opening up in some of these Midwestern states within the next 3 weeks, going back to in-class person. But y'all tell me, could we even develop, or could that something like that even be viable in today's society that we're living in this COVID pandemic that we're living in?
Anyway, Marty,
right. As a pastor, can I speak to that as a pastor?
Yes, Pastor.
Our liability insurance won't allow it. So one of the things, and see, it's always funny because there are two things that have always liberated people of color, and more than anything, Black folk. It has been the Black college, the Black K-12, and the Black church. In most places, in places like mine, because we were going to do a learning community and open it up to our neighborhood, and our insurance would not allow it. And if we did, then we would have to, there was another level of insurance. There's a thing almost like a pandemic insurance that you would have had to have had before COVID even came in order for you to do that. So when we start talking about what churches can do, please understand that all churches really can do is gather on Sunday morning for the most part, or you have to pay a level of insurance that because remember now, if anybody gets sick in that learning community, in that learning cafe, the church is liable.
I hear you with that. I hear you.
That's something you have to think about. So
I think about just thank you for the correction.
Because we got our own problems. We can't even pay our bills right now. So
I understand. Also too, Marty, the one thing as a caveat to having the church, developing these partnerships with departments of Parks and Rec, because there are a lot of rec centers that are empty at the current moment.
Okay,
that can actually meet the needs of
right.
And they actually have the Wi-Fi. They actually have computers there.
Right.
And if those partnerships can happen, because I think it's Baltimore. Baltimore City is using community centers to house a certain amount of kids in person. They're watching the kids all day while their parents go to work. They're feeding, but the kids are doing virtual learning. And this is Baltimore. I think it's 1,100 students, if I read correctly, that are there. But those are things and ideas that we can have partnerships with other community people.
I love it.
Especially besides the church.
Right. And Marty,
go ahead, please, Thomas.
And then I just also want to talk about this partnership piece. Let's also partner with our parents more. Let's partner with trying to find creative, innovative ways. Just for your family member. If someone has an old cassette player, get on a voice recorder, record the message, send it to them. We got to meet people where they are. One thing that I did say this weekend, Marty, that I want to leave us with this. In 2020, it's time for us, everybody, well, side note, you laughed at me last time I said this. Everybody. We have to open up our mouths and speak out. We got to open up our mouths and say, I need help with this.
Yes.
Mr. Davis, I don't know what you're talking about on that Zoom piece. Can you record it? Guess what? I'll find a VHS and an old camcorder, and I will do what I have to do to make sure that that person feel like they have the support that they need. We don't need those stimulus check. We need to know that we are having somebody that can walk us through to get us to the finish line. because that money is only temporarily. That education, that knowledge, that availability, that foundation would carry you more than what anything else that can happen to us. I just want to say that I want all of us to work on these relationships. Teachers who are watching us tonight, make it a point to check on your kid, but also send that parent a text message. Your son did good today.
Right.
To our administrators, shine out your staff, not a person, a staff. Because if everybody is logging in every day, teaching somebody, everybody deserves some shine. To our counselors, social workers, everybody, be that person that you are. We got to work together. I'm sorry.
You're fine. You're all right. Go ahead, Brother Prashant.
One of the things that I had to do was I had to realize that I am the most essential person in the building.
Yes.
Not only as an educator, but as a Black male educator.
Right.
So the one thing that I do that is some free information for anybody who is an educator. I had to go and create a nonprofit, and so that there were some things that I wanted to do, some ways I wanted to take care of my kids, some mentoring things that I wanted to do. So I went in, and myself and my partner, we started a nonprofit organization to do nothing more but we take kids to Broadway every year.
Yeah.
We got a grant. We got money to do that. We're getting ready to partner with, and Tom, I need to talk to you about this. We're getting ready to do something called Kings, which is a mentoring program that we want to do for all Black males, and use the Gates Foundation money in order to do those things. So I'm just going to put out there, once we leave COVID, because once we leave this moment, because this ain't going to last forever, it's really to expose where we are and to expose the corruption.
Yes.
Every educator, principal, assistant principal, educator, create your own nonprofit organization. Find where you can make a difference and write grants. And I mean, if you can fill out a complete write a paragraph, you can do a grant and get funding in order to do the type of work that can change a generation and to change your community. Now that was free.
I love it. Listen, there's so many things. I really want to have a part 2 of this, because I believe y'all we just barely scratched the surface of what we need to do and how to do this. But you said some powerful things there. I don't want to belabor the point and everything, because anything past this has been so good. Can we get some final thoughts with that? I love that. Create a nonprofit. Yes. And this pandemic is the time. I say this all the time, that we have to not to use it as a way of reinventing not just the systems that we're in, but more importantly, reinventing us as individuals, as creators, as educators, as therapists, and all that. I'm gonna start with you, Dr. Rice, with that. Some parting words, and I need a part 2 from you for real, from all y'all with this. But let's talk. Talk to me, Dr. Rice. How do we parting words, and how do we keep in contact with you?
With Brian, how keep in contact with me. So first, check out the show, The 2%. It's on Apple, it's on Spotify, and you can catch me there. Parting words right now for all my educators. First, be kind to yourselves, right? Because you're doing some work in a time that we didn't expect, that we didn't know, and so we're all learning, right? But apply that same patience and kindness to your students. And then, as I was saying before I got cut off, take the opportunity to connect with the families. Like, that's so important. You're coming into their homes every day. Make sure that you take a moment and say, hello, Mom, hello, Dad. You know, I'm Dr. Rice, I'm whoever, and I'm here to help you and your child, and I'm available to you at these times or whatever. That would be my main concern, because a lot of times we're coming in to kids' homes, giving them directives like we're controlling the home, and we're not. We are guests, and we need to make sure that we do what we can to make ourselves available to those parents and their students, and make sure that, as one of my other brothers mentioned, that relationship is strong, right? Because if we work with them together, it's no limit to what our kids can achieve. So I'll leave it there. And yes, I do want to come back and when I have a better connection and Streamland's working, or StreamYard, whatever you decide to use, because you tricked me, right? I thought it was Zoom, and then I looked up and it's StreamYard. Who knew?
I'm
But that's fine.
StreamYard, baby.
That's fine. I have no
You've been
idea.
on my
This is
show
the first
before.
time. I've never used this. I don't know what you're talking about.
Don't get me started. You know I got nothing but love for you. Don't make the West Side look bad.
Absolutely.
No.
I'm not. I'm trying.
I know you are. Yeah. I know you are, Brother Dwayne. Parting words and how can we stay in contact with you?
Understand that there's some gifts and imperfection. And right now we're in a situation where we want it to be perfect and it's not going to be perfect.
Right.
But the best thing is that as long as we're doing our best to make sure that we're giving good services to children, that's all we can ask for. And right. It might not be perfect. It might not look like how you look when you're having that stellar observation or when you're in your classrooms rocking and rolling, but you're making do. At the heart, you are a teacher, and you can teach anything and anybody. You can always find me at Dwayne Edwards on all my taglines.
Okay. Love it. Edwards, you got Twitter on there, all that. Love you, man. Man, appreciate that. And with that, the one and only, Brother Prashad, the one and only. That's all I can say.
Those of us who are HBCU grads, they used to prepare us for everything we did, understanding that we were going to have a responsibility.
Yes.
And I think
absolutely,
any brother who is in the classroom who is struggling, the system is stacked against him. He has to sit down so that people aren't intimidated by him, but he finds himself on the line just to continue to work, continue to strive, to stay there, because they are making a difference, even if you are unappreciated, and to fully embrace the Robert Greenleaf model of servant leadership. And that is, we work with. So yes, brother, you have to go to the Little League games. Yes, you got to go to the summer reunions. Yes, brother, you got to go in to talk to people, talk and make those good calls so that when the bad calls come, people are more apt to receive you. So yes, we have to do this work because we are necessary, and we ain't trying to be nobody daddy, but we can go and be a uncle and a brother, and we have to name it and wear that t-shirt because it is what it is.
There we go. Thank you so much.
And definitely we can find you on Facebook there. And with that, yes, sir. Listen, we appreciate, and Instagram, gotcha. Love it. Man,
Marty.
Go ahead, Thomas.
I just want to say that I just want to shout out all of the Divine Nine organizations. Let me just say this out of respect, because when we enter our house, right, the first thing that we've always taught is respect for self and the respect for others. So I want to give a shout out to all of the Divine Nine organizations, first of all. But I want to say this, it's nothing like an educated black male. And second thing that I want to say is nothing like a educated black alpha man. So I just want to just say that real quick. And the last thing that I do want to say is, Brother Anton talked about starting a 501c3 and your nonprofits. Let me just say this as an insert. When you are forming your nonprofits, do it the legal way. Don't do it for the quick fix. Do it the legal way. And the last thing that I want to say is this. And I saw this on Instagram. And when you follow me on my social media, you will see this. I was scrolling through this morning as I start my day. I always talk about some motivational stuff. And it says, we fall, we fail, we break. But then we rise, we heal, we overcome. Implement some of these thoughts in our heads each day. Like, this show is not about Marty and I. This show is about giving everybody encouragement and empowerment to move forward and to be the best person that you can be despite what the odds are. Because we will get through COVID and we're going to prepare for something else. So I want to leave this with everyone on here tonight to keep motivating yourself, Keep encouraging yourself. Remove yourself from negative people. We don't got time for that right now. And speak up, as Marty would say in his tagline, and live.
You can't take my exit before I do it. Come on.
We support each other, bro.
But gentlemen, I cannot thank you all enough. We listen, we're going to talk to you right afterwards because we got to continue this discussion. This was very rich. And we hope that, again, as we empower parents, as we empower grandparents, as we empower educators, we just want you to know that you have hope, that you don't have to suffer in silence. But as Thomas has I got bad English and I graduated from UC Berkeley. Speak up, speak out, and live. You can join me, and please follow us also on Mental Health Matters with Marty on our Facebook and on YouTube, simply as Martina Sellers, but also check out our podcast on Mental Health Matters with Marty, because mental health really does matter. Too many of us are suffering in silence. And with that, we want you to just check us out on any of our podcasts that you can check us out on with all of them. That's all I got to say with that. And you can also text I Matter to 31996 to stay tuned. As always, you could have chosen any platform to listen to, but we are so glad that you chose this one. Again, check us out on mentalhealthmarty.com for all the latest. We're going to start posting some stuff on there for this whole COVID schooling, for the grandmothers, the aunties, the parents, the mother, the father, for the children, all the things that you need to look out after, because again, we want you to live your best life to the end. And again, speak up, speak out, and live. Until next week, God bless.